What if, in the blink of an eye, everything you depend on, light, power, connection, vanished without warning? Tonight, as you lie in bed, the world outside is about to change in ways you never imagined. You reach for your phone, a lifeline to the outside world, only to find it's dead. The screen remains stubbornly black, unresponsive to your touch. Instinctively, you flip the light switch, expecting the familiar click and the comforting glow. But the lights won't turn on. Nothing happens, just an unsettling silence. You step outside and a heavy silence hangs over your neighborhood. The usual sounds of morning, the rumble of buses, the chatter of children, the barking of dogs are all absent. You look outside, trying to make sense of the stillness. The streets are dark, empty and still, no cars, no people, just an eerie emptiness that stretches as far as you can see. The city, once alive with a frenetic energy, is now eerily quiet, a ghost of its former self. This isn't a scene from a disaster movie, a Hollywood spectacle of destruction. It's the potential reality for the Philippines, a chilling possibility that looms larger than many realize. This is day one of a total oil blockade, a scenario where the lifeblood of our nation is abruptly cut off. No shots fired, no bombs dropped, just a silent, suffocating pressure, a nation's lifeblood cut off overnight, leaving it gasping for breath. Confusion quickly turns to panic as the implications of the situation begin to dawn on people. With power out, TVs are useless, reduced to blank screens, reflecting the growing anxiety in the room. And only a few radios, powered by dwindling batteries, share fragmented, alarming news, painting a grim picture of the unfolding crisis. The internet? Only for those with generators, a privileged few who remain connected to the outside world. For most, rumors spread faster than facts, fueled by fear and uncertainty. Stories of foreign ships turning away our oil tankers circulate like wildfire, each retelling more terrifying than the last. Whispers of a silent siege, a coordinated effort to bring the nation to its knees, fill the air. Our modern world, so reliant on power, transport, communication, crumbles in hours, not days, revealing just how fragile our interconnected systems truly are. The food you eat, the water you drink, the hospitals you rely on, all depend on oil, a resource we take for granted until it's gone. A blockade isn't just an economic inconvenience, a temporary disruption to the flow of goods and services. It's a direct assault on our way of life, a fundamental challenge to the very fabric of our society. There's no warning, no gradual decline. One day everything is normal, life proceeds as usual. The next, the tap is off, the flow of oil abruptly ceases. Oil tankers simply don't arrive, vanishing from the horizon as if they never existed. Port authorities report vessels intercepted and rerouted, their precious cargo diverted elsewhere. The government's ability to respond is crippled without fuel, leaving it powerless to address the growing crisis. The question on everyone's lips, whispered in hushed tones and shouted in desperate pleas: what happens now? How long can we last before everything falls apart? The suddenness is the key, the element that transforms a manageable challenge into a full-blown catastrophe. No time to prepare. No time to adapt, no time to cushion the blow. This is the nightmare scenario, the crisis we hope never comes. A nation held hostage not by war, but by silence and darkness. A chilling reminder of our vulnerability. In our interconnected world, the flow of goods and resources is the lifeblood of nations. But what if that flow were suddenly, deliberately cut off? How could one country switch off another so completely? It seems unimaginable, doesn't it? The answer lies in a combination of geography and naval power. Control of strategic waterways and the ability to project force across the oceans are the keys to imposing a blockade. China's massive navy isn't just for show, it represents a significant shift in the balance of power at sea. It's a tool for control, a means of asserting dominance over vital sea lanes. The Philippines, an archipelago of over 7,000 islands, relies on sea lanes for nearly all trade, making it particularly vulnerable. The country's economic well-being is intrinsically linked to the freedom of navigation. Most of our oil imports, the lifeblood of our economy, cross the South China Sea, a region now increasingly dominated by Beijing's assertive naval presence. A blockade wouldn't start with a bang, with open declarations of war, but with a seemingly innocuous naval exercise. A routine drill, they might say. Dozens of Chinese warships and militia boats, an overwhelming display of force, declare exclusion zones, effectively closing vital international shipping routes under the guise of safety. Shipping companies, fearing for the safety of their tankers, their valuable cargo, and their crews, comply. Insurance costs skyrocket to astronomical levels, making the journey economically impossible. The risk is simply too great. It's a blockade achieved not through direct military confrontation, but by bureaucracy and intimidation, not just by brute force, but by subtle, calculated pressure. Chinese ships strategically form a cordon at key passages, the choke points of maritime trade, using advanced satellite surveillance to track the movement of every single tanker, every vessel of interest. A simple, chilling radio message crackles across the airwaves. "You're entering a military operations area. Please alter course immediately." The threat, though unspoken, is crystal clear. Defy the order and risk a potentially devastating confrontation. China, of course, maintains plausible deniability, carefully crafting its narrative for the international community, claiming it's all just a routine safety measure, a necessary precaution to ensure the security of navigation. To the outside world, it's portrayed as a temporary exercise, a fleeting disruption, but to us, it's a total shutdown, a complete cessation of vital supplies. Oil stops flowing overnight, leaving gas stations empty and industries grinding to a halt. The pressure is silent, insidious, suffocating, a creeping sense of dread that permeates every aspect of life. It's a siege enforced not by bombs and bullets, but by warships and carefully worded warnings. The blockade begins not with overt violence or aggression, but with a chilling, calculated squeeze, a gradual tightening of the noose that leaves us gasping for air. Why would China choose a blockade over open conflict? It's strategic. A blockade exerts maximum pressure with minimal risk. Economic warfare for the modern age. An invasion would trigger global outrage and US intervention. A blockade? It's ambiguous, harder to confront. Nations might condemn it, but would they risk war to break it? China bets they won't. The goal, punish the Philippines for alliances or defiance and send a message to the region: defy us and you'll pay. It's also coercion force Manila to negotiate from a position of weakness. No shots fired, but the pressure is relentless. Surrender or suffer. It's ruthless, but effective. A crisis so severe, surrender seems the only option. The first 72 hours of a blockade dictator. Imagine the immediate aftermath would be chaos, a descent into uncertainty where every hour brings new challenges and escalating fears. Panic buying erupts at gas stations as people desperately try to secure what little fuel remains. Lines stretch for kilometers and fuel runs out in hours, leaving countless stranded and anxious. Black market prices soar. Only the desperate or wealthy can buy. The average citizen is left with no options. The era of personal mobility ends overnight. The roads become silent graveyards of stalled vehicles. Oil-fired power plants run out of fuel and the lights begin to flicker. Blackouts sweep across cities. Darkness descends, swallowing entire metropolises. At first, a few hours without power. Soon darkness dominates, broken only by the faint glow of generators. The supply chain collapses, grinding to a halt as transportation networks fail. Trucks can't move, stranding essential goods and crippling distribution. Store shelves empty, fresh food disappears, leaving communities hungry and desperate. Pharmacies run out of refrigerated medicines, jeopardizing the health of those who depend on them. The promise of just-in-time delivery becomes a curse, exposing the vulnerability of our interconnected systems. Fear and uncertainty grip the nation. Protests and unrest follow, fueled by desperation and a lack of information. Communications break down, rumors spread, and the government struggles to respond, losing control of the narrative. Hospitals, running on backup generators, must choose who gets life-saving power, making impossible decisions. The first 3 days reveal just how fragile our society truly is, and how quickly order can dissolve into chaos. Our vulnerability is simple. The Philippines has almost no strategic petroleum reserve. Unlike the US or Japan, we live hand to mouth, just 30 days of crude, 15 days of finished products. We import over 99% of our oil, all passing through contested waters. For decades, plans for a national reserve have been shelved, cost and convenience winning over security. We assumed the market would always provide. Now that assumption is being tested. A blockade exposes this as a catastrophic miscalculation. With no stockpile, panic buying and hoarding drain supplies instantly. Power plants ration fuel, blackouts spread, and there's no time to adapt. We're running on empty, with disaster just one turn away. In crisis, we look to allies like the US and Japan, but a blockade is designed to blur the line. China claims it's not an attack, just an exercise. US intervention would risk direct conflict with China, a move Washington dreads. Even if help comes, it takes weeks to assemble a naval convoy. Meanwhile, our economy collapses and society unravels.